Hi everyone. I hope that this video finds you well and enjoying the blessings of the Lord. It's such a privilege to again have the opportunity to share for the next couple of moments a biblical truth that I have found so helpful when it comes particularly to the whole area of guidance. Today I want to talk to you about the God of the third option. Often we traverse through life and we see things very black and white in that we can do this or we can do that. So we have one of two options. It's either this or it's either that. There seldom comes into our thinking the fact that God may be the God of the third option. And we see Jesus throughout his earthly ministry, how he would do things that were so profound and things that had never been seen before. And one of the key stories around this is found in John chapter 6. And I want to read to you from verse 16 from the Passion Translation. It reads as follows. After waiting until evening for Jesus to return, the disciples went down to the lake. But as darkness fell, he still hadn't returned. So the disciples got into a boat and headed across the lake to Capernaum. By now a strong wind began to blow and was stirring up the waves. The disciples had rowed about halfway across the lake when all of a sudden they caught sight of Jesus walking on top of the waves, coming toward them. The disciples panicked, but Jesus called out to them, "Don't be afraid, you know who I am." They were relieved to take him in, and the moment Jesus stepped into the boat, they were instantly transported to the other side. What a powerful story. What a powerful miracle. Oh, to be a fly on the wall or a fly in that boat, and to have witnessed that amazing vista, seeing Jesus coming through the storm, walking on the waves, and then getting into the boat. And of course, how the story ends is equally amazing because they were instantly transported to the other side of the lake when Jesus got into the boat. So there we see Jesus compressing time. There's so much richness in this story and so much application. What I want to do now, though, is to talk to you about the God of the third option. Up till that time that Jesus walked on the water, getting across the lake, there was only two ways you could do that. You either got into a boat or a relevant flotation device, or you swam. There was no thought that anyone could walk on water. You couldn't do that. It's impossible. The water doesn't hold up the weight of a human body. We all know that. You can't physically walk on water in the natural. So the disciples had one of two options when it came to crossing that lake. They could swim, or they could go by boat. Perhaps the more adventurous ones among them might have got on a log or something like that and decided to have a paddle. But in terms of practicality, you either swam or you got in a boat. Jesus comes along and shows himself to be the God of the third option. This is very important because when it comes to the major decisions that we face in life, we often can have it's an either-or situation. In other words, I have to choose this path or I have to choose that path. Whereas Jesus comes along and says, actually, I am the God of all things. And I am above every circumstance, I'm above every situation, and I am the God of the third option. I feel this is relevant this morning because you may be in a situation where you're thinking to yourself, it's either this or that. I can choose this way or I can choose that way. But I believe today God wants to show himself to be in your life the God of the third option. So I wonder how that's impacting you right now. What's happening in your life right now? Perhaps you're facing a pretty major call that you have to make. And you've thought to yourself up to this point, well, I can either do this or I can do that. Now, I'm saying to you, according to the way Jesus operates, he is the God of the third option. He loves to come in with another option. And I want to encourage you today to think to yourself about the third option. And I want to encourage you as well that, in fact, I'll give you a little backstory around this point. When my lovely wife and I were expecting our first child, Joel, we went to what's called antenatal class. Some of you, I'm sure, are smiling right now because you remember those antenatal classes. And the instructors told us that while you're in these late stages of pregnancy, there are three areas where you don't make a decision: mates or marriage, mortgage, and money. What they were trying to help us with, they were saying is, don't make a big decision in your marriage, don't make a big money decision, and don't make a big mortgage or like housing, real estate decision while you're in this place. Because often when we're stressed and we are under pressure to make a quick decision or pressure to make a soon decision, we can see things very narrowly, like it's this way or that way. But I believe today the Lord is saying to you, consider me. In other words, consider the third option. Maybe, just maybe, there's another way that God actually wants to work in your life. Maybe there's a water walking option for you that you've never even considered, and the Lord wants to show up in that way for you today. So remember this: when you pray, when you come to the big decisions of life, always ask yourself, God, is there a third option here? Something I haven't even considered. Do you want to walk across the waves on this one and do something so powerful that I've never even considered? So be encouraged today. I hope that blesses you, and stay tuned for more videos. God bless.